Hi, I'm Maddie from Zero Waste California, and today we're going to try Miyoko's plant-based butter, or as it's actually called, Miyoko's European cultured style vegan butter made from plants. So close. I was really excited to try this butter. I found it at Whole Foods, and even though the outside is cardboard, I couldn't figure out from the packaging what the actual butter was wrapped in. And sometimes vegan butter is wrapped in foil, which unfortunately my district cannot recycle. So I went home and looked it up and found out that the butter was wrapped in wax paper, which I can compost in my backyard. And I went back to buy it, and it was sold out. And it was sold out for a while. But then somebody told me that they found it at Target, so I went there, and lo and behold, there it was. First impression, awesome. It's completely plastic free, and I can compost 100% of the packaging in my own backyard. Next impression, it's kind of expensive. So for 8 ounces, it's $6.99. And for the record, that's half a pound. Now I can get a full pound of organic dairy butter for about $5.80, a pound of regular dairy butter for about $3.50, and the Earth Balance vegan butter sticks usually go for about $3.86, all for a pound. So this is half a pound for $6.99, and thus making it the most expensive butter that I found in the store. My hope is that if the company continues to grow, they will be able to reduce their prices a little bit. Ow. Next question, what is it made out of? So on the back it says it does not contain any palm oil. And the ingredients are organic coconut oil, filtered water, organic sunflower oil, organic cashews, organic sunflower lecithin, sea salt, and cultures. It's multicultural. And it's made in Petaluma, California. So somewhat local. Petaluma, California. Now let's eat it. Inside, it is wrapped in wax, like we just kind of went over. I don't know if you can see. It kind of is like some different colors and textures going on here. Interesting. Now let's taste it. Just kidding. Let's use a knife like an adult. I mean, you can tell that it's not butter. I can believe it's not butter. But it's better than margarine. It's kind of like a hybrid of margarine and butter. All right, let's try it on a piece of toast. Let's do a little spread. It's a good piece of toast. If someone just came up to me on the street and was just like, here, eat this toast, I'd be like, who are you? And then I would be like, this is pretty good toast. So it passed the taste test. Now let's see if it passes the bake test. Pie dough from scratch is incredibly easy to make, and yet I still find a way to make it look very difficult. But it isn't. I'm obviously not a professional chef, obviously. And I'm sure my knife skills, which have been described as terrifying, make that very clear. My goal is just to show you that if I can make it, you can make it too. Now, I always assumed there was some fancy trick to making pie dough. There isn't really. Just make sure to use very cold butter, definitely not room temperature. And if you can, use a food processor. And I'll explain why in a second. So while I was making the filling for the pie dough, I had the cubes of butter sitting on a plate in the freezer for about 10 minutes or so until I was ready to use them. Then I just added 1 1/4 cups of flour to the food processor, and you can use wheat flour or all-purpose flour, or maybe other types of flour, I'm not really sure. And then 1/4 teaspoon of salt, because the butter we're using already has salt in it. I gave it a quick process to incorporate, and then I remembered the blade. The blade will help significantly. And then I added the cold cubes of Miyoko's butter. Now I strongly recommend food processing the dough if you can, or at least working it with a spoon. Just not your hands, because your hands will start to melt the butter, and you really want to keep the butter as solid as possible, which will make for a flakier crust. If the dough is coming out a little dry, just add some ice water, 1/2 tablespoon at a time. So process the dough until it forms little pea-sized balls. Now dump the mixture onto a sheet of parchment paper or wax paper, both are compostable, and form it into a ball. Now this is where things start to go downhill, but it was a little bit more comical than anything. I lightly floured the dough and the rolling pin and began to roll it out. and I turned it 90 degrees every roll or two to try to prevent the edges from cracking. You could probably also use another piece of wax paper on top and roll it out that way. That might work. Kind of wish I had thought of that. So the next thing I'm going to show you is basically what not to do. Instead of putting the pie dough in the freezer to firm up a bit, or putting the pie dish upside down on top of the dough and then flipping the whole thing over, which I did last time and it worked out much better, I tried to just flip the pie dough into the dish, and that was stupid. So I had to do some maintenance, but no one's gonna see this part when it's done, so ha! And the result was a flaky, buttery, delicious pie crust that disappeared in 24 hours. I wanted to do one more test with Miyoko's butter, something that would really prove that it could stand up to regular butter when baking. So I decided to make one of my favorite Christmas cookies, also called Mexican wedding cookies. Now I would usually use room temperature butter for this recipe, but I left the Miyoko's butter out to see how it would soften, and it was weird. The oils and the solids separated. Plus, I was inspired by using cold butter in the pie dough and thought that using cold butter in this recipe would give the cookies that same flaky and futtery effect. Nope, we're rolling with it. In a mixing bowl, I added a cup of flour, a half cup of Miyoko's butter, which is half a package, and about half a cup of chopped pecans, also called pecans, depending on where you're from. 3 heaping tablespoons of sugar, and I did like a teaspoon of vanilla. I don't really know. It was like a cup and a half, almost a double kappa. Mix until a dough forms. Roll the dough into 1-inch balls and place them on a baking sheet in a way that screams, "I have OCD." Then bake the cookies at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes or until the tops barely start to become golden brown. Wait about 5 to 10 minutes for the cookies to harden a bit, but while still warm, toss them in the powdered sugar. And if you have any powdered sugar left over, you can always add a touch of vanilla extract and a little water and make a wonderful icing. And if you don't have anything that needs icing, you can just squeeze it directly onto your face. I was amazed at how good these came out. These might be my favorite cookies ever. You should absolutely try this recipe. Bring it into your coworkers, bring it to your neighbor's house. They're gonna love you, they're gonna give you a hug and maybe the flu. But, you know, cookies equals friendship for life. Everyone knows that. I think Confucius said that. Miyoko's butter seemed to stand up to all the tests I threw at it today. And if it wasn't for the price, it would be a really good dairy-free, plastic-free, totally compostable alternative to regular butter. It was great on toast, it baked really well, and it seems to be just as unhealthy as regular butter. So if it's not too far out of your weekly grocery budget and you see it while you're shopping, give it a try. Of course, both recipes shown today can be used with any butter you prefer. One more note, this video is definitely not endorsed by Miyoko or her butter. If it was, I probably wouldn't have compared its appearance to fish in a can. But please don't let that comparison put you off trying it. It doesn't taste like fish in a can. It tastes like butt'gerin. I'll work on that name. Thanks so much for watching and we'll see you next week. Oh, it's melting in your mouth. Including both recipes shown today, nothing went to landfill or had to be recycled. The wax paper and cardboard box will be composted.